Welcome to Through the Lens of Astrology. I'm your host, Heather Arielle, and this is our special New Year's Eve episode. And I am so happy Carolyn Oakley of Luminous Moon Design and Press, she's joining us today, and she has a stellium in Capricorn. And that's one reason I really wanted her to come back during Capricorn season. And we also had her on a couple weeks ago, and it was so magical. I said, you just gotta come back soon. And today we have a lot of stuff to talk about because we are looking into 2021. Yeah, everybody, we all want to do that, right? Yeah, we've all pretty much had it with 2020. And there's so much exciting, freeing, humanitarian healing energy coming in. So we're gonna take a big look ahead at how can we all activate that energy and how can we all use it in our own personal day-to-day lives. So we're going to be talking about that major Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius. I talked a little bit about it last week, but it is such a big deal. We're going to really go deep with that and say, well, where is that happening in your chart so that you will know the house that it is activating. So a little later on in the show, I'm going to take you through all 12 houses, and I'm going to help you find on what cusp is Aquarius and what does it mean to have Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius for you personally. But first, Carolyn Oakley, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Heather. It's so great to be here with you. That was a magical show a few weeks ago, and so it's really fun to dive back into the Great Conjunction and how that affects people individually. I love that you're going to talk about that. And yeah, it's Capricorn season, so some of us get really activated during that season. So I'd love to hear your input on that for those of us out here who are Capricorns. And yeah.
Well, one thing that I love about the Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, it gives us a chance to talk about astrology on the most macro level. So we have the macro uber level of the age of Aquarius. You know, people talk about that. I get a lot of questions about that. And that is just a door that is open to all of us. And when we have a major global event, like Jupiter and Saturn coming together in Aquarius, which hasn't happened for 800 years or so. It's a wonderful opportunity globally for things to change, and it just reminds us that there are so many levels to astrology. And then we get more and more micro, and that gets to the most micro level is your personal chart. And so we are at the end of the show, I'm going to take you through Saturn and Jupiter so that you get that micro personal level. So you want to get out your natal chart and you create your natal chart. You need your birth time, your day, month, year, location, and exact time. That's how you create your natal chart. So if you don't have one, you can Google that and get one pretty quickly. And then you can just get so much more out of your energy. But with Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, um, boy, oh boy, it is really all about Aquarius energy, which I've
It
talked a lot
is.
about. And remember, we want to be in balance with our energy. And so, really, what I've been talking about is the imbalance quality. Now, you, Carolyn, your Venus is in Aquarius. So, you,
Right.
even though you've got a stellium, a Capricorn, the way that you give and receive love and
Right.
your art, I mean, you've got a lot of unique original parts. How do you feel that you've connected so far to your Venus in Aquarius?
Yeah, no, I actually really love Aquarian energy. I think it's great, and it's true. I really appreciate that it gives me a kind of unique, quirky approach to art and to music. So I play music from different cultures. I love music from different cultures, even though I was trained as a classical pianist. And so, I had that solid traditional foundation. And then I thought, Beethoven was the revolutionary of his time.
Right.
He would not be playing music that was 200 years old. He was creating something really modern. Mozart was off the charts, crazy for his time. I mean, a lot of people didn't like him and accept him because he was so wacko, and now he's, traditional. So I thought, those guys were really innovators. And so I love that Aquarian energy of innovation. But I also love the humanitarian energy of it. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from you how that global energy of Saturn and Uranus, Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius is really going to affect us globally. I think there's a big shift going to happen to society. And, everybody around the world was watching that conjunction.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Yeah, no, and it really is global. And I
yeah,
want to bring up so yes, everyone is talking about the 800-year cycle, right? But
right.
there's a smaller cycle of every 200 years. Saturn and Jupiter change elements, and that is called, in astrology, it's called the Great Mutation. So for my serious astrology students out there, you
Uh-huh.
can Google the Great Mutation, and that is when Saturn and Jupiter, every 200 years, they change elements. So they were in Earth.
Interesting.
Capricorn is an earth sign, all about the earthly realm, manifesting in real and practical, tangible ways. Then
Hmm.
it moved into Aquarius, which is an air sign. And so the energy that is open to all of us is not just Aquarius, but it's all air energy, which is also Libra and Gemini. Finally, finally my Gemini is coming into play.
Right.
And so we want to think about, well, what is air? Air is all about communication. It's about ideas. It's thinking. It's the mind. And so it's the perfect time to remind ourselves that thoughts are things. And it really matters right now. What are we thinking about? What are our ideas? We need to develop them. We need to share them. And because Aquarius, it is the age of Aquarius, and Saturn and Jupiter are in Aquarius, we do want to focus that is stronger than the Libra Gemini. So
Mm,
Aquarius, that comes in with the unique ideas, the
right.
alternative approaches. And how do we get that? By coming into touch with our most original parts, right? Of who we are.
Right.
And it's time to, and it's also time to form groups, and even smaller groups. This is not unifying energy in that Piscean sense. This is,
Interesting.
what are your views? They're going to be original, alternative, maybe even eccentric. And it's about finding people who share your views and values, forming groups. And then by doing that, that energy can grow exponentially, which is, this is what I'm trying to do here with through the lens of astrology, and
Yeah.
bringing in people who are connecting to this message. And then by joining, we form a group, and then our energy expands exponentially. And then we can come up with some alternative, unique approaches that, yes, the goal is to benefit the group. Okay, we want to
Right.
benefit the group, but the Aquarian path is saying that's the way to benefit the group right now, is to honor individuality. And then by
Mm.
doing that, especially with Saturn, because it illuminates the path, we have a couple of years to really focus on that. And then Saturn will go into Pisces, and that will be more unified. But we still have, at the most macro level, the age of Aquarius. And so Saturn and Jupiter coming together in Aquarius is echoing, is
Mm.
reinforcing, is giving, it's sort of giving that extra boost to the age of Aquarius. And so that's another reason that it's a big deal. But the Great Mutation every 200 years. So in 200 years from now, Saturn and Jupiter will conjunct in water. And that is even connected. Now it's
Oh,
connected to the Italian Renaissance. And we think of
wow.
all the water and the feeling. But right now, it's air. So we want to be embracing communication, our ideas, sharing our ideas. Gemini is very, very social. And then Libra's got that assertive diplomacy. So we want to make sure that when we are sharing our ideas, we're doing it in a diplomatic way. And Aquarius is also, it's also about technology. So I do want to bring in,
Mm.
you mentioned Uranus.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But I mean, we've seen it this year already. The shift is happening to technology in a huge way that none of us expected. And it's never going back. I don't think it's ever going back. Work will never look the same. finances are never going to look the same. You know, they're talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. The whole market is going to change as well. So there are a lot of places where technology is actually going to become king. And yeah, get ready for an Aquarian ride.
I love that you brought up Bitcoin and those cryptocurrencies. That is Uranus in Taurus, and Uranus is
Oh,
retrograde in Taurus. Because see, Taurus is all about money and value, and yet Uranus rules Aquarius, right? And Uranus is technology. So when you combine technology and money, you get the cryptocurrencies, you get Bitcoin, you get things like that. And that is front and center. Now Uranus has been retrograde. It's going to go forward January 14th. And so we're having all this shift of energy of Uranus and Taurus going forward, Saturn and Jupiter coming together in Aquarius. And so all of that is supporting the age of Aquarius. And I talk so much about the imbalance quality. We should also maybe mention techno feudalism because it's also,
right,
you got to remember the out of balance, that what
right.
happens if, the technology gets out of balance and all of a sudden society. So for people, I meant, okay, so techno feudalism is when society becomes controlled through means of
Mm,
technology. And so we do see that unfortunately in places, and if things get out of hand in certain areas, so we want to watch for that. But we all have open to us the imbalance opportunities of Aquarius energy, right? So we can
right.
all connect to the most original parts of ourselves, be open to alternative new ways of doing things, and also share our own new alternative ways. And it's just deeply humanitarian. It's really,
Yeah.
really caring for the group and making some decisions that benefit the group.
Can you say
That's
more about how that's different? It's different than the Piscean energy of
oh,
humanitarian, because I always thought the Aquarian energy was like humanitarian, but I know that Pisces also has this.
That
So
is
anyway, how's that
that
different?
is such a great question. Okay, that's a great subtle point. Aquarius energy is deeply humanitarian. It's deeply humanitarian. The difference is with Aquarius, it supports individuality, and it actually says if you have 11 people in a group, that if you can have each person be unique to him or herself, right, to themselves,
Hmm.
then if when they contribute their unique energy and talent, the group benefits. But there's still,
Mm,
you'll still look at them and say, oh yeah, you're you and I'm me. No
right.
one's going to confuse us. But the talents, the very different talents will benefit the group. Pisces, boundaries dissolve.
Uh,
Pisces is you cut yourself, I bleed. And it's sort of like the 11 people with Piscean energy will actually blend and meld together, and they form one group, and you don't know where one person ends and the other begins. And so that's
interesting.
Piscean. It's very they're and that's why Pisces, they make great actors. They just become other people. There are no
Right.
boundaries. And then when Pisces get out of balance, they cross boundaries.
Right.
So we need boundaries. We need
Right.
yeah, yeah, we need boundaries sometimes. But that's a great point, because especially as we become more metaphysical, and people who meditate a lot and they really become metaphysical, they start to have that unifying energy. And they just
Mhm.
it's profound levels of empathy with Pisces. And when you have all that empathy, there is no, the end, there is no you, there is no me, there is just, we are connected. So right now with all the Aquarius, it's saying retain your individuality. It is your greatest strength. Society will benefit more now
Right.
by all of us embracing our most original parts. And that, it is a hard message to get across sometimes because people feel a little guilty. It's selfish enlightenment, right? It's
Mm,
saying, go ahead, and because we think, oh, selfish, this sounds selfish. Well, no, because it's
no.
going to benefit everyone.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because, as you know, I've played in a Balinese ensemble for many years, almost 30 years. And that is the experience of that kind of ensemble. It's more the Aquarian experience, even though we meld to play the music. In
Yeah.
order to keep the group functioning, everybody brings their unique talent. And without that, the group wouldn't function. So I can really appreciate what you're saying. Thanks for explaining. That's a very subtle difference, but really important. I'm glad that came up for our listeners.
Oh, that was, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, that astrology is cyclical. And that's
Mm,
another opportunity that Saturn and Jupiter coming together, it can remind us. So, on the global level, we have the cycle, the 800-year cycle. Then we have the 200-year element cycle from earth to air. And then we have those personal cycles. So in your own chart, Saturn is a 28.5-year cycle. Every
mm,
7 years, we have a major Saturn aspect. Either we have a Saturn aspect to our sun, ascendant, midheaven, that can be very significant.
mm.
Jupiter is a 12-year cycle. So this is a way, I always say, be present with your energy, because astrology is symbolic. So a Saturn square for you is not going to be the same Saturn square for me. Yes,
Right.
symbolically they will share some themes, but specifically the specific what's going to happen is going to be different. And that's why I always tell people, keep this is why I created a planner. It's be present with your
Mm,
energy, record your experiences during specific transits, because then you will get to know how you react in the specific ways. So then you say, oh, this is coming up again. Did you have the experience you want to have? Well, guess what? You have another opportunity to do it. Then you can do a course correction if you did not. And if you did, then you can like look forward to it and
right. That's
magnify it even further. So it's another great way when something big happens like this. It reminds, it allows me to talk about astrology is cyclical, not only the macro micro levels, but
mhm,
we really want to look at the cycles because we can learn so much from it.
right. Well, so how do we find where Saturn, what are we looking for? So we're looking for
Oh, right.
Aquarius.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
looking for Aquarius
Well,
in our charts.
Capricorn. See, I love this. You are it's wonderful practical, because I am like a helium balloon with all my Gemini, and it's like you're the Capricorn holding on to the balloon. I don't completely fly away. That's what happens when Capricorn and Gemini come together. So okay.
Isn't that a sextile? Is that right? No, wait, in
Oh,
conjunct.
in conjunct. It's
In
in conjunct.
conjunct.
Yeah, yeah. Because remember, it's different elements. Capricorn is Earth, Gemini is air. Well, it's just, I mean, that's just the element shift that we just had.
Right,
And
that's
then,
right.
yeah, and then the modality, which sometimes I talk about modalities, and you kind of kid me. You're like, come on, Heather, modalities. That's too much.
I always
Okay,
forget my modality.
modality. But modalities are great because
Yeah.
if you can connect to your modality, it informs you on some really successful ways that you can take action.
Oh,
So
interesting.
Capricorn is tremendous individual initiative. You're just supposed to do things. And you do. You run your business, you're in charge of your business, and you just individual initiative. That's your best friend. And as with Gemini mutable, my best friend is my adaptability, is my ability to take course corrections. Say, okay, well, I'll try this. Okay, I'm going to try this now, and I'll try that. And then, yeah, I'm supposed to decide on something, but mutable signs are supposed to be flexible and try a lot of things. That's how they figure out what they really want to do. A Capricorn is much more, you pretty much know, and you just got to do the individual initiative to do it. And so that's that modality. So I always say, make friends with your modality, because it's a gift. It's saying when
Mhm.
you embrace that energy, things just it become it illuminates it's another way to illuminate your path.
So run through the four, is it four modalities? Is
Okay,
that right?
we
Run
have
through them again.
3 modalities,
Three.
and we have
Four elements, three modalities.
four elements. So
Right.
the cardinal modality that goes with Capricorn, all of the when we think of the solstices, the equinoxes, Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, Libra, those are the cardinal signs. This individual initiative. And then we get the mutable signs. We get Gemini, we get Pisces, we get Sagittarius, we get Virgo. And they really thrive by being adaptable.
Mm.
And then we get the fixed signs. We get Leo, we get Scorpio, we get Taurus, we get Aquarius. Aquarius is fixed,
Oh,
and that
interesting.
is tremendous stamina and focus, and it's a laser-like focus, and that stamina to just persevere and stay on course, right? That is the strength. It's a beautiful strength of the fixed sign. So you want to recognize the strength of your modality because it gives you that extra oomph, that extra power behind actions that you take.
That's fantastic. That's really great. Well, so is this a good, so yeah, how do people find Aquarius? They have to look at the cusps,
So Aquarius,
right?
now we're going to upload the symbol, and it's so funny because Aquarius is an air sign, but she's called the water bearer, and
Yes,
little
always
wave
confused me. And
confusing to people. The symbol
yeah,
is you're going to see waves. You're going to want to find where are the waves on your natal
two
chart.
wavy lines, right? That look like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And remember, when you look at your natal chart, pretend it's a clock and go to 9 o'clock. That is always the first degree of your first house. That's going to be your ascendant. And that's where we start, okay? Because you got 12 houses, you have 12 areas of experience. Each box is an area of experience. So you want to go to 9 o'clock, go to each one. And so then 8 o'clock is your second house. It goes counterclockwise and find where those little waves are. And then Saturn and Jupiter will activate that area. Now, okay, for my more advanced students, be aware that Aquarius is probably, for most people, it will be in more than one house. Okay, so
Mm,
if you can figure that out, then you know that Saturn Jupiter is activating both. But this is one way, for no matter how much, you don't have to have any knowledge of astrology, you can at least figure out the one main house, the cusp that has Aquarius on it. Saturn and Jupiter will be activating that area. So the first house. Okay, well, you know what? So just keep in mind what Saturn Jupiter represent. When Saturn comes into a house, it tells us, it reminds us, it's karmic. We have a karmic opportunity to complete karma, and we want to take responsibility for that area of experience, and we want to find practical ways, practical applications,
mm,
practical ways to activate that area. And then Jupiter expands anything it touches. Jupiter's it's a blessing, it's a guardian angel. So it also means we get a little hope, we get a little elevation, we get expansion, and we get some healing to that area as well. So to have both at once is very powerful. First house, 9 o'clock. That is your physical body. And that is also the front door of your house. Remember, and Sue Tompkins said that. I quote her a lot because I love that. So the
mhm,
ascendant is the energy you give off when you first meet people. And so if Saturn and Jupiter, if you're Aquarius rising, that means Saturn is bringing authority. It's going to make you appear to be a little more adult because Saturn is adult energy. It also says take responsibility for your physical body. And Jupiter there is going to it's going to expand your personality. Generally, Jupiter by transit, or if you have it there natally, you are a little more comfortable expressing yourself. You just get a little bit bigger in your expressions, and that is a boost. That can also bring new people into your life. Anytime anytime planets aspect angles, and the 9 o'clock ascendant is a big
mhm,
angle, a really important
right.
angle, you be extra present. Angles are noticeable. When planets hit angles, things happen and people notice it, especially when angles hit, yeah, especially with that ascendant. So that's the first house. Now, the second house, if you have Aquarius on the second house, that's the house of earned income. It's also the house of values. So that means with Saturn, that can find you can find a practical way of making money. And you want to also be a little more serious and adult with how you earn money. With Jupiter there, you have a way to expand it. But because they're in Aquarius, and that means the Aquarius energy is on the cusp, be open to making money through Aquarian means. And one way to do that is through technology, through science, and through alternative medicine, and just through unique approaches. So that's, following Aquarius energy will help bring in new ways of earning income.
Is there a sense too that like being true to yourself or being your authentic individual self is going to help in that area of earned income?
Is say that again?
So being your authentic true self, being true to yourself is
Yes.
going to help.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
might find a unique.
Yes. Oh, that is such a good point, Carolyn.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's really saying, yeah, because the cusp, if you, where you have Aquarius on the cusp, absolutely, you need to be true to
Mm.
yourself. It's not about doing what you should do, or it's not about pleasing other people. It's how can you earn money that is going to speak to your passion. That's a great point. That's a great point.
I think I know that because
Yeah.
is the symbol that looks like Enterprise Uranus? Is that Uranus? This,
Um, oh,
I
that,
think I have Uranus in my second house.
what,
So I,
what, can you tell
it
me
looks
what
like the
sign?
Enterprise.
Can you tell me what sign? Oh my gosh, that's so cute. I've never heard it described that way. Remind me, what sign is
It's
your,
in my chart. It's in Leo.
oh yeah, for sure. It's in second house. I know you've got
Yeah,
second house Leo energy. Okay. Oh,
right.
absolutely. See, if you've got Uranus in that house or Aquarius on the cusp, absolutely. Finding alternative ways to make money
Hmm.
is really, yeah, is going to be your friend.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, didn't mean to stop you
Great.
going around the clock.
Now, the third house, that is the house of ideas, of communication. If you've got Aquarius on that cusp, Saturn and Jupiter coming in, think about what are the ideas, what are your unique ideas that you want to share with others, either through teaching, through lecturing, through writing, or are there some classes you want to take? But it's really focused on your ideas, your communication, and your education with the third house. And then the fourth house, if Saturn and Jupiter are there in Aquarius, that is that's a foundational house. Now, Saturn there is kind of a big deal. Those are some karmic issues with family. I would check in with your family with Saturn there. There's some karmic issues coming up. Honor your responsibilities, but also it's a chance to look at your cultural imprint, because we're not supposed to be a slave to our responsibilities, right? There's a fine line with Saturn. It's karmic, but then we want to be responsible and adult, but then it can also become a burden, so much of a burden that we then give up our what we really want to do. So Saturn in Aquarius is a chance to say, no, no, no. You've got to embrace who you are and connect and don't give up your dreams. And Jupiter is there to say, hold on to your dreams. But it's
Mm.
just saying, try to find balance with being practical and being to a certain degree responsible for your family if you've got Saturn there, but you also need to honor yourself as well. That's the gift of the Aquarius mixed in with that energy.
And that's important for people to remember often is that they need to be, just like you were talking about with the group, they need to be their authentic selves, even within the family group. And even if it, as you said, check in with your cultural norms, even if, or your imprint, even if it means maybe you're rubbing against what you think is expected of you, by actually being yourself, you're contributing to the family group in the best possible way.
Oh,
So that's
that's
very interesting.
that's so beautifully put, and that's absolutely right. Because, boy, especially think about COVID times right now. We have
Hmm.
all of these concerns with what should we be doing, and our family. We have all of these needs in the family. So that is a really, really good point. That the unique qualities will contribute.
Right.
Then when we go to the fifth house, oh, the fun, romantic, creative, self-expressive house. Okay, well, Jupiter's going to expand that. That could bring some new romances in. It can bring some children, and it's wonderful for expressing yourself. It also means if you're going to bring in romantic partners, you're going to be attracted to partners who are unique, a little more alternative, or scientific. And Aquarius and Uranus also connected to genius, so they could really have something extremely intelligent about them. And then Saturn allows to bring structure. So if you're writing something, bring the structure, get into the discipline of a routine to create. your creative masterpiece. And if you have children and you have Saturn into your fifth house, they usually need a little more guidance. And boy, that's for sure right now with all the remote learning.
Right.
So children really need structure. If you have Saturn in your fifth house and you have real kids. Now, if you're birthing not a real kid, but a play or something like that, because that's a birth, right? Any art is also birthing a project. You want to give it that attention, that Saturn, but you want to give it your unique flair. Yeah. Then when you go to the sixth house, Saturn in the sixth house, you really want to take responsibility for your health because that is the house of health. It's also your daily routine. Saturn gives you a beautiful opportunity to create the perfect, most nurturing daily routine because it likes structure. Saturn loves routine. So that really means if you've got Saturn in your sixth house and it's Aquarius, find the routine that works for you. Don't listen to what other people say. Well, you know what? You need to get up at this time and you need to be in front of the computer during these hours. No, no. Find the routine that works for you. That's what Saturn and Aquarius in the sixth house tells you. And Jupiter says that 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 it's expanding. Um, that is sort of a blessing to that. Now, that's also a blessing for health. Jupiter in your sixth house, that's a good time if you got to have procedures, have them because you kind of have a little guardian angel for your health when you've got that in the sixth house.
That's
Now,
good.
the seventh house, okay, those are one-on-one relationships. And Jupiter there can bring in people who are good for you. It can expand uh, all your one-on-one relationships. So those are romantic, those are serious romantic partnerships, business partnerships, best friends, even people you consult with. If you go to a therapist, that therapist is
Mhm.
represented by the seventh house. If you get a consultation with me, I'm in your seventh house. And I'm very Aquarius. So you can definitely give me a call if you've got Saturn and Jupiter hitting in Aquarius, your seventh house. And then Saturn brings structure. Now, Saturn's also about pruning. So, Saturn in the seventh
Mm,
house, that would mean you have an Aquarian descendant. You can bring in stable partners, serious partnerships, but it's also pruning. So, it also says, look at all of your partnerships.
mm,
And because it's in Aquarius, it says, do they support the most original parts of you? That's a big deal. That's how you're going to decide what to prune. Only keep the relationships that make you feel very Aquarian, that make you
mm.
feel unique and free. We haven't talked about the freedom aspect.
It's true.
Aquarius is free. It's free energy. And so you want to then only keep those relationships that really allow you to be unique and free at the same time. Then you get into the eighth house, and that's joint resources, that's other people's money. Now, Jupiter there can even bring in an inheritance, a gift. Um, it expands that. And Saturn there means brings tried and true investments. But even though it's with Aquarius, that could even be technology investments. We were talking about,
Right.
cryptocurrencies,
That's
right?
right.
Saturn, hitting that. If your eighth house has Aquarius, that may be part of your future with this energy. Really look at your joint resources and
That's me.
okay, okay.
Trying to invest in Bitcoin.
And then we get into the ninth house, and that is long distance travel, philosophy, publishing, foreigners, foreign cultures. Jupiter there, okay, that is Jupiter's house. That's Jupiter's house. I mean,
Mm,
yeah, ninth house. So now we can't really be doing those long distance trips right now, but it means learn a foreign language, brush up on a foreign language, be around people who are really different from you, expose yourself to different cultures if Jupiter's there. If you write, publish. It's also a great transit to learn and teach, and you want the Aquarian flair. So it's saying, what are you going to learn? What are you going to teach? Art and projects and lectures that have Aquarian themes. That's what that means.
mm.
And then Saturn there is applying structure to that. And Saturn can be a restriction. So you're definitely going to, if you have Saturn there, you probably really, really want to travel. And Saturn can be a bit of a restriction.
Right.
That can happen with Saturn. Now at the 10th house, okay, now we're at now we're at Saturn's house. Saturn is connected to the 10th house. And that can be a pinnacle of success. If you've got Saturn and Aquarius at the top of your chart, boy oh boy, that's a 28-year cycle where that's a cosmic paycheck. Depending on what you've done, you could be having a promotion or a really significant career achievement. And if you don't have the achievement that you want to have, this is the time to make the course correction, because in 7 years then Saturn will go on your ascendant. So make the course correction now so you can start building to that next opportunity when Saturn goes on your ascendant. And again, that means you've got Aquarius on your midheaven, your public persona, your job, even that rules marriage. Your marriage, your career needs to have the Aquarian flair, needs to make you feel unique and free, and it needs to be an Aquarian. It needs to have an Aquarian energy, which could also just be science and technology, right? It's all of that. Then,
Mhm.
if you move to the 11th house, Saturn and Jupiter in the 11th, that is the house of friends and hopes and dreams. So, in the same way, in the 7th, I suggested that you prune your one on one relationships if you have Saturn there. If you've got Saturn in your 11th, you want to prune your friendships. These are not your best friends, but these are your friends. You want to prune those, only keep the ones that really support the most original parts of you. Groups that you belong to, you want them to honor the Aquarian flavor. And I was talking about that earlier, how important it is to find groups uh,
Right.
that speak to your ideas,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Your ideas. And then Jupiter in the 11th house is a blessing for friendships. They can just bring in wonderful friends, and it means friends can be of benefit to you because Jupiter is a blessing. Then you've got the 12th and final house. Now, Saturn and Jupiter there that's interesting because Jupiter is a beautiful blessing to the 12th house. That's a guardian angel has come in for a year.
Mm.
And you can reach your highest levels of consciousness. Definitely meditate and spend time in nature if you've got Jupiter in your 12th house. Give yourself permission to be reflective and to have some downtime. It is a guardian angel. Saturn there is a little tricky because Saturn can be a restriction, but it's ultimately a time. I got this from Mary Kaswani, my mentor. She says Saturn in your 12th house is a time to redefine who you are. And if you get there, if you've got Saturn in your 12th house with Aquarius, do you like, because you're about to start a new cycle with the first house, do
Mm.
you really like what you're doing and how everything is going? If so, then you can just go deeper with it with Saturn there. But if you don't, that's your moment to redefine. And that's a 2.5 year cycle in because Saturn spends about 2.5 years in each house, Jupiter just one. But
Wow.
Jupiter is there. That's a beautiful blessing that you've got that time. Now, Saturn in the 12th house, you can also sometimes we have to spend time in hospitals or, um, you know, caring for people. There's a restriction. That can also be, but Jupiter is there to heal if that is the case. So that's just now look, there's astrology is full of nuance and duality, but that is a way that you can uh, find where is Saturn and Jupiter activating. Where is it activating in your chart? What area of experience? And how can you just be extra present with it so you can more easily manifest those gifts and those energies?
That's wonderful, Heather. Thanks for doing that, because it's very complex, as you said, and there's some global things that we're all experiencing, and we know there's going to be big societal shifts coming up, but then just looking at how that affects each of us individually, as you said, the micro and the macro, that's really, really helpful. And it's interesting because I can see how tricky it is, because Jupiter is expansive,
Yeah.
Saturn can be limiting. It's so there is this blessing, and Saturn is about making it concrete and real, but it's in Aquarius, so there's some really subtle things going on here.
There really are. And it's important that we're embracing all of it because Jupiter wants us to have hope. We are
Mm.
supposed to have hope and faith and connect to our belief systems because Saturn, there is that restriction and sometimes can feel a little bit of a downer. And so we want to embrace the gift of Saturn to say we can make things real. We can
Right.
manifest in practical ways. And we do want to have, we still have, so even though Saturn and Jupiter are in the air, we have the Great Mutation, we had the element shift. Pluto is still in Capricorn, which is very
Oh,
powerful. Okay.
yes.
And we're in Capricorn season right now. So we're still supposed to be manifesting in real ways. Uh, so that is, and Saturn, no matter what sign it's in, wants us to be practical and wants us to manifest. So it is tricky when we have Saturn and Jupiter come together, which can be at odds with each other. And we can say, well, they don't have to be. We just have to be extra present with energy when
Mm,
that happens.
that's perfect. That's great. Thank you. This is really, really helpful.
Absolutely. And I should say, if you're just joining us, you are listening to Through the Lens of Astrology with Heather Arielle. My guest today is Carolyn Oakley of Luminous Moon Press and Design. And I do want to make you aware of some workshops that I have coming up. And these are going to be workshops online, but I am going to lead them. These are not modules that you're going to download. So you're going to have personal you're going to have personal experiences with me
Right.
and your natal chart. So the first one, January 17th, is the first one, and it's between 2 and 3:30 Eastern time. That is my magical moon workshop. It's during a Pisces moon, a mystical sensitive Pisces moon, and you're going to learn all about how to activate your natal moon, what house it's in, the sign, how to activate the transiting moon, because that's a beautiful cycle every month. That's a that's a 28-day cycle, and you're going to learn how to make the most of that. And you're also going to learn some unique oracle spreads so you can intuitively connect to your moon. So if you have any interest in getting to know your moon, that's you want to sign up for the Magical Moon Workshop, January 17th. And all of my workshops are on ariellesastrology.com, ARIELLES, astrology.com. And you can go to the tab that says Learn, and you can read more about it. And they're $25, and you're going to get personal interaction with me. And it even includes a workbook that you download. So you get a lot of information. Now, my second workshop is January 24th, and that is Unmasking Your Astro Face. And that is all about learning about your sun and ascendant, two of the most important energies in your natal chart, and how do they work together? How can you make the most of those energies? And you also learn in that workshop how to turn your natal chart with all those indecipherable symbols into a beautiful visual collage that is immediately comprehensible. So that's in that workshop. Now, February 6th, I have Retrogrades Reimagined, and that takes place during a retrograde, which is perfect. And you're going to learn about Mercury, Mars, and Venus for all those retrogrades for 2021 and how they impact you personally. And that is February 6th. So January 17th, Magical Moon, January 24th, Unmasking Your Astro Face, February 6th, Retrogrades Reimagined, 2 Sundays and a Saturday. They're all 2 to 3:30. Just go to ariellesastrology.com and you can sign up and also find out more about them.
Those are three great workshops. Really exciting. I'm so glad you're offering them online now. I know you've offered them in person when you could, and they were so successful. People just loved them. So this is a great opportunity for people to work with you directly online.
I am really excited because, as you said, I traveled the country. I did these workshops in person, and it took me a little bit longer
Right?
to get these online, but I'm so happy. I'm really happy. And I really like the personal touch. I mean, I'm all about personal, practical, powerful. So I'm not the biggest fan of downloading modules. So I do like to lead the workshops. I do like to stress that. That's why space is limited. Okay, space is
Right.
limited because I will make sure that how this energy is going to impact you. right?
And it's
Because
always fun to hear the right, and it's fun to hear the interactions from other participants, and you learn things by learning about their charts. So, you know, yeah, it's a great space to share information like that.
absolutely, absolutely.
So, Heather, I know you want to get to the winter solstice spread, but before we do that, a question came up for me when you were talking. You mentioned that Pluto is still in Capricorn. So, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, that is really good. Okay, that you brought that up.
I've been paying attention.
Yes, you have been. Okay. So Pluto in Capricorn. This is a really big deal for a couple of reasons. One, Pluto is the transformer, and whatever sign it goes through, it says, okay, this is the path through to experience the most profound deep transformation. And so Pluto in Capricorn, that is the earthly realm is really being transformed right now, and things parts are being eliminated. And the other reason that it's really big is that because in the US especially, the US is having its plutonian return. Now, it won't be exact until 2022, but
Oh,
it's
wow.
close enough. It is close enough that you feel it. You feel the
Mm,
plutonian, because also, not only is it a plutonian return for the US, which is a huge deal, but
yeah,
it's opposing the Mercury in the natal chart of of the US. So
US.
that's a major opposition. So for two reasons, it will perfect in 2022, and we'll have it three times, and that's when, boy oh boy, things will really come to a head, and we'll have the ultimate resolution to what that means. But we're experiencing, that Pluto opposition, we're experiencing major transformation in this country. And Pluto in general in Capricorn is allowing transformation globally of the earth, right? And,
That's
and it still shows that Capricorn energy, it is still very powerful. So, that's, it's still very, even though we've got a lot of this Aquarius energy, we still have some Capricorn that we need to be connecting to.
that is really interesting. I hadn't really thought about that, that while this global pandemic is happening, I mean, I know Pluto, it's not just death, but it is transformation, but there's a lot of transformation and a lot of death actually happening on a global scale. And so that's really interesting to me. And so we're not really we're it's a little bit better because Saturn and Jupiter have moved on, and that's a great relief, but we're still in this cycle of transformation. And as you said, for the country, it's not even really come to a head yet. It will.
That's right. It's not come to a head. We
Although it always feels like the energy leading up to something is almost more intense than when it actually happens.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. And it just because we sense all this is happening, and so it's almost makes it more uncomfortable because it's not exact yet, but we just, it's this almost sense of doom, or this sense of
Right.
impending doom of, ooh, something big is coming. I think of the West Side Story song,
Right.
something's coming. So, and it's that's that kind of energy when an aspect starts to perfect. We're like, ooh, it's right around the corner. What's coming?
Right. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. That's a good thing to keep in mind
Yes. Oh yeah.
during all this. So, this winter
Oh
solstice spread, I'm excited about that.
yeah. We have a few minutes left, so we're gonna do. I got great feedback last week. I did just a few. I did the winter solstice spread. It's such a simple, elegant spread that really helps us to be present with the winter solstice energy, which was December 21st, 5:02 a.m. Eastern Time. And the energy for the winter solstice is with us until the spring equinox. So that's 3 months, okay? And
Right.
so the spread that I developed is so simple. The first card is an area for us to review over the next few months. The second card is an area to release over the next few months. And the third card is a way that if we embrace that energy, we can renew over the next few months, because that's what the winter solstice is about. It's a transition. It's when we can look back over the year, take stock, and really do the review, release, and renew so that we really feel refreshed and rejuvenated once the spring equinox comes, because that's the beginning of the whole Western zodiac. That gets everything going. So it's a thoughtful time.
Right. That was brilliant that you created this spread. And that's just one thing I want to mention. I don't know if people understand that you have created these really unique spreads, and you meditate and you ask your guides for guidance. So it's not like you're just making things up, it's like, and you really tune into the energy of what's going on and what's important. So that's a beautiful spread. That's really
Oh,
great.
I love things that are simple and elegant, and because it's all about how can we use something immediately, right? In
Right.
practical ways, because there's so much jargon. And I know I even talked a little bit today about the Great Mutation, and that's jargon, but I always try to find a way to say, let's do this very simple activity, you will become more present with your energy, and
Yes.
you can then manifest instantly. I am a big, that's what I try to do. That's what I try to do with my 2021 planner. That's why I created that. That's why I create every product that I create in my
Right.
workshops. It's how can we just immediately incorporate something that's going to be easy.
And this 2021 planner, while you're shuffling your cards, I just wanted to say that, I've heard people say that they like to use both the physical planner and the digital planner,
Oh my God.
because sometimes, they can, if they want to do something quickly and they've got their phone or their iPad and they just check in with the digital planner, and can kind of do quick things that way. And then when they really want to spend more time and sort of sit down and settle in and maybe write more or do these spreads and really go deeper, then they use the physical planner. So I was really delighted to hear that people use them that way.
Oh, that's great because it's something I was a little slow to start doing the digital books and the digital planners, and so okay, that makes me excited. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us, so you're adding another layer, is that
Yeah.
right?
So we're adding, you can add several layers to all of these spreads because we always want to embrace the nuance and duality of astrology, right? That's what it's
Mm.
about. So, all right. So let's do another layer. Okay. All right. So we're going to see what is an area that will benefit us. And remember, everyone listening, these messages are for the group. You're part of the group. I'm part of the group. All right. Carolyn's part of the group. If you're listening, you're part of this group. And by our collective listening, that's how we form a group. And then these messages will be for all of us. So keep that in mind. Oh my gosh. Okay. Conjunction? All right. This is
Love that.
exciting. Oh my
One of
God.
my favorite cards.
Wow. Okay. So if this is an area to review, well, I'll tell you, I'm very proud of this group. I have to say, if we're supposed to be reviewing conjunctions, that means all of us, everyone listening, we have some huge open doors for us. And you know what that means? If this is an area for us to review, that means we have open doors that we've not gone through yet. That's what that means. So that says you've had doors open for you that maybe you don't realize that they're opening for you. So look around. The conjunction, I mean, it says on the card, the open door. When astrology opens a door for you, walk through it with confidence. With confidence. Don't
Right.
coddle.
Right.
Walk through. You hang your head. Your head is high. You hold your head high when you walk through that door. This is the most exciting card for review because that's saying all of us can look back and say that. So this could be opportunities for projects, jobs, or relationships. Okay. We all got some major open doors. Okay. That's very exciting. I am so glad we decided to add another layer.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Okay, so now, all right, so that was an area to review, an area to that will help us release what we no longer need. Oh my gosh. The midheaven. Okay.
Oh,
So that is beautiful. All right, so the midheaven, that is Okay, that if you're married, okay, that is your professional job, things like that. So what that means is, think about it. We talked about Saturn. Saturn is the ruler of your midheaven. Okay, that's it. No matter what your ruler is, Saturn in general rules midheaven in general, rules the 10th house.
Oh,
So let's think about what that means. And Saturn and Aquarius coming in. That means we need to release traditional ideas of
mm,
what we think we should be doing for our job, of what we think our marriage should be like. Think about it. We need to be releasing the Saturn qualities of that and embracing the Aquarius to make sure that what our job, the job that we do, the marriage that we have, really helps us to feel free and unique and supports our most original qualities. Wow,
that's that's very exciting.
that's
And
really
I love that
exciting.
interpretation that I didn't go there in my mind, and now I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Release the Saturnian energy.
Yes.
We're going
Yeah.
into
So
this.
release traditional
Mhm.
energy and embrace the energy that you want. You can have the marriage and the career that you want, but we have to imagine it and don't limit ourselves, right? We just say it's inside of us. Be true to ourselves, be true to who we are. That's the path to take.
That's
Okay.
great.
Now, how are we going to renew, right? Because that's what winter solstice, it's really, this is a time to renew ourselves. Okay. Oh my gosh, I love it. The sun.
That's
The sun. Wow, this is beautiful.
yeah.
Okay. Now that's kind of like Jupiter in a way. The sun, shine your light brightly. This is how you're going to renew. Okay?
Mm,
Shine your light brightly. Celebrate this time of good health, blessings, and much deserved success. This is have hope, have faith. The sun illuminates, the sun warms us up, and the sun is connected to the fifth house, is connected to creativity, romance. Wow. So we're going to renew by staying positive, by connecting to our faith and hope, and also by being transparent. The sun is transparency, it's illumination, it's clarity. And so we not only want to connect to the most original parts of ourselves, but it is time to share that with the world, because often we hide, right? We only tell our closest friends who we really are.
right. That's right.
And Aquarius is not about being liked.
Mm,
It's about being unconventional and being outside the norm and being comfortable. It's rebellious energy. So it's time to be a rebel with the cause and connect to the Aquarian parts and be transparent. And oh my gosh, this kind of amazed me, this spread. This
yeah.
is really exciting, especially for the group, because it's saying our group is, the energy is really growing, and it's really growing in the right way. I mean,
That's great.
as a group, oh my gosh, we all have major doors, opportunities, major open doors for us. And we want to be going through them, and we want to be free in our career choice and in our marriage. And we want to celebrate yourself and be around people who celebrate you, right? That's really
That's
important. It's be who you are and be loved for who you are. Because if you're not, then that's not real love, right? If you're hiding who you are and you think you have someone's support, you don't really have it, because the
right.
moment they find out who you really are, they're going to abandon you.
Right.
So there's no reason to hide who you are. It doesn't benefit you and it doesn't benefit them. Join the groups, find the people who can celebrate you.
Wow, that's a beautiful message. What a great solstice message.
Amazing. I feel renewed already.
I know.
We don't have to wait for the spring equinox.
That's right.
I feel totally renewed. I'm like, I'm
That's
ready to go now.
that's great. That's really great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you know what? I think that's about all the time we have.
Oh,
Carolyn
this has been
Oakley,
wonderful.
you are luminous. You definitely put the luminous in Luminous Moon Design and Press, that's for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful.
And it was wonderful to have your Capricorn energy here, because I don't really have Capricorn. So I needed some Capricorn help during this Capricorn season. And so that was wonderful. Come back anytime.
Oh, I love it. I'd love to. And it's just really fun celebrating this with you and really getting these direct messages and the inspired reading and also all the, just the inspired astrology. Really helpful.
Well, and to everyone listening, I really wish you the most wonderful, joyous, celebratory, meaningful, creative New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. So that is our show. That is our Happy New Year's Eve show.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year, everyone. And until next time, enjoy and embrace transformation.